Yo, what's happening, Raider Nation? It's your boy Soto here. You know what it is. Raiders versus the world, talking about the team the world loves to hate, your Las Vegas Raiders. Well, we are getting dangerously close. We are 3 sleeps away from the first round. And I can't wait for it to come. Like, it can't come fast enough. I'm not going to wish my life away, right? I'm not going to say, oh, I can't. I did want to wake up and I want it to be the draft. No, I'm still going to live these days, live life to the fullest. But it is something that I am looking extremely forward to. Had a great day today. Had the day off of work. I took the day off. I said, I'm not going to work today. I took my niece to a local amusement park, Knott's Berry Farm, because she likes Snoopy. Her first time ever. She turns 2 tomorrow, mind you. She's not even 2 yet. Took her to an amusement park. Never been on a ride before. The first ride she gets on, she screams and laughs and just has the best time. And then she cries when the ride stops. Okay. Go to another ride. Screams and crazy, loves it, and then cries when the ride stops. Mind you, she probably shouldn't have been on a couple of these rides. So I look at my sister and I'm like, and she looked at me and she's like, yeah, she's kind of like you. And I said, yeah. She's like me. We're the same way. Great day today. Great day today. It's a great day to be in Raider Nation. It's a great day to talk to you guys. We're going to talk about a few things today. Some things that are just things that have to be said. All right. There's a couple things floating around out there I think that we need to talk about that maybe we don't really want to talk about. We want to just push it under the rug. Unfortunately, that's not the way that life works. Things are going to happen, some that you agree with, some that you don't agree with, some that work out and you didn't want it to happen and it worked out anyway. Ultimately, the main thing is that the Raiders win. I'm not really concerned about what the names are on the back of the jerseys. I want the name on the front of the jersey to be victorious. That's just me. So we gotta wait. I usually like to wait a few minutes before I start going hard on the topic because, it's just starting. I want people to jump in here. But before we do, I want to make sure everyone, please, get this going here. What's wrong with me? I don't have my banners ready. What's wrong with me? Everyone, please like, comment, and subscribe. It's a great way to support the channel. It's absolutely free to do. And it's the bare minimum you can do to support the channel besides doing absolutely nothing and just watching the video, which, of course, I always do appreciate. But you're already here. You might as well just subscribe. It really helps out a lot. Okay, that's out of the way. What do we got going here? So we're going to go ahead and start. And there's a lot of things floating around right now. And I think that a lot of Raider Nation didn't really want to accept it, right? And didn't really want to, I don't know what the word is. We didn't want to accept the inevitable. Okay. But unfortunately, the rumblings are getting a lot stronger that Aiden O'Connell's on the trading block. And I honestly don't know how to feel about it, but I understand. I don't have to agree with something, but if I can understand the logic, no problem. Here's the issue that I have. You have Aiden O'Connell, who is a high-end backup. All right. That's what he's looked at as, a high-end backup. I'm not going to argue with anybody here about how good Aiden O'Connell is or isn't. That's not what I'm here to do. Because there's certain people out there who just say, just give Aiden O'Connell a chance, just put him out there, he can grow. He had bad offensive coordinators, he had this, he had that. And I think the guys that are looking at this situation with a little bit more of a coach's eye and a scout's eye can see Aiden O'Connell does have his limitations, and those limitations are going to hinder him from being competitive week in, week out. I think the greatest example of this was he had an excellent game against the Chiefs and then just threw out a big old freaking steaming pile against the Bucks the next week. you can't have those swings up and down and be a a long-term quote unquote franchise NFL quarterback. It's just too drastic a swing up and down. So the issue that we're going to have here is when we signed Geno Smith, Geno Smith is much more athletic than I think a lot of people are giving him credit for. And if you haven't watched a lot of Seahawks games recently, or if you haven't watched a lot of tape on Aiden O'Connell, you're going to be able to see that he's, you're, I mean, let me back up. If you haven't looked at the tape or looked at the games, you're not going to know how athletic he actually is. And I get that. I wasn't watching a lot of Seahawks games, and I have access to coaches' film, so I'm able to watch his games. And yeah, man, when you have a quarterback like a Geno Smith, you want to put quarterbacks around him that are similar skill set. Of course, they're not going to be as good as him if Geno Smith is your starter, right? But they have to be able to do similar things because you want your offense to run smoothly. And that's one of the things about a backup quarterback. If you have a backup quarterback that's just going to be just a backup quarterback, you're not like developing him for the future or anything like that, because we've all seen a lot of Aiden O'Connell. And I think that barring some miraculous turnaround, he is what he is. Okay. He's a high-end backup and he can be a spot starter and win you some games. On top of that, he has some really good points to him, but there's some things that he's not going to be able to fix. He's not mobile. He doesn't throw well on the run. He's not as accurate as once thought coming out of college. He doesn't push the ball past 10 yards very well. There's a lot of things happening that we've seen just kind of creep up over and over and over again. It's just too easy to defend. Now, as far as how it goes with Geno Smith, this is how it works. If you're Chip Kelly, you're going to have an offensive like game plan, right? You're going to have a scheme set up to attack opposing defenses. And part of that is having your quarterback being able to do certain things in order for the offense to be able to set up the defense. If the quarterback running the offense cannot do everything the offense demands of the quarterback, then it becomes more predictable. And that's the issue that we're going to see here. Unfortunately, Aiden O'Connell needs to be in an offense where a quarterback is more of a pocket passing style, even though that is more of a dying art. There's still a few out there, and we'll talk about that in a second. Also, on top of this, the Raiders are looking to draft a quarterback. I don't think that's anything that's any secret to anyone out there. The Raiders are looking to draft a quarterback of the future. Now, Carter Bradley is also under contract. He's, a third stringer or whatever. I can see. I don't know if Aiden O'Connell would be cool with being a third string quarterback, because if you draft a quarterback this year, he's going to be the backup because you want to have him protected on your roster. So it's not fair to Aiden O'Connell to make him a third stringer. It just isn't. And that's one of the things for him too. It's like he needs to go to a situation where he's going to be able to maybe get a new coat of paint, learn a new system, and see what he can do there. But just the fact that we have Geno Smith and we're looking to draft another quarterback, that just pushes Aiden O'Connell further and further down the road. Because we're not going to draft a quarterback. We're not going to use draft capital on a quarterback and then have him be the third stringer that you can just pluck off of our practice squad. It's not going to work. Also, Aiden O'Connell does have some trade value, especially during the draft. If a team is set on or is really focusing on a quarterback and they get drafted by somebody else and they're not really looking too keen on whoever's left over, and Aiden O'Connell they feel is a better quarterback and it fits their offense a little bit better than what's left, that team could go after an Aiden O'Connell. Very similar to how Dallas went after Joe Milton. They don't have a backup quarterback. They need someone to back up. And they said, well, Joe Milton's, we have this guy rated higher than anyone in this draft, so why don't we just trade the pick for him? It's also another possibility. Also, I mean, I think I hinted on it earlier, but AOC, he has his own ambitions. I don't know that he's going to be, good with being a third string quarterback, excuse me. Um, I don't think he wants to play the waiting game either. I don't think he wants to just be sitting around waiting for Geno Smith to potentially get hurt and then the rookie to fall flat on their face for him to get some time. It's just not a good situation for him. Now, there is a counter argument to trading Aiden O'Connell. Okay. It's risky due to, let's say, like the value of having depth at quarterback. Aiden O'Connell has won games in this league. He has been shown to be a very reliable backup. So it's really iffy if indeed your starting quarterback does get hurt. But let's be honest. If your starting quarterback gets hurt, you're probably most likely done. Your season's probably done anyway. Okay. So banking on a backup quarterback in case something happens and then potentially have that impede the growth of the quarterback that you're drafting this season. I don't know how that trade-off works. I don't know if it works very well, at least. Also, if like Spytek and Pete Carroll are interested in like an overhaul type of thing, um, it looks like they're looking to do that. Not overhaul it like in one season, but they're looking to flip this roster over in a couple of seasons. I think it's a risk they're willing to take. That AOC goes somewhere else and is a viable player for them, even in a backup role. So there's some possible landing spots for Aiden O'Connell. And one of them is a spot that just traded away a quarterback in New England. They just traded away Joe Milton. Now, they need depth behind Drake May. Okay, Drake May is a rookie and he played well last season, but they need depth behind him because they don't really have anyone behind him. So this would be an experienced third year now quarterback that can go in there and just, not be a complete veteran, but he's not, wet behind the ears rookie either. Now, Drake May is somewhat mobile, but he's more of a pocket passer. So it kind of fits the similar scheme as Aiden O'Connell. But even though Drake May is more mobile than Aiden O'Connell, the offense they run is going to be very similar. Okay. Like, I don't think the offense is going to rely on Drake May's legs for it to run. All right. Also, there's a connection. Josh McDaniels, who's with the Patriots now, he drafted Aiden O'Connell in 2023. So there's a connection there. Obviously, Josh McDaniels saw something in Aiden O'Connell to draft him in the 4th round. So there's a connection there. And we'll probably get a day 3 pick back, maybe a 5th round pick for Aiden O'Connell, should that work out. But the Patriots are a destination. Another destination, interestingly enough, is the Tennessee Titans. Now, it seems like Tennessee is looking to shop Will Levis. If they do that and they draft Cam Ward like we think they're going to do, they're going to need, arms behind the starter, who's going to be Cam Ward. Now, Cam Ward is a little bit more mobile, but he's not a running quarterback. He's more of like a Ben Roethlisberger type where he scrambles to buy time. So the offense that they're going to run is still going to be more of a pocket style offense. Also, Dave Ziegler is an assistant GM with Tennessee, and he also was with the Raiders when they drafted Aiden O'Connell in the 4th round. So there's a connection there. So the scheme fit, not really using a lot of pretty much any RPOs or relying on the legs of Cam Ward to be able to win games. Maybe some of his scramble ability, but the play call is going to be the same. So there's another possible destination there, especially since the Tennessee Titans seem to be shopping Will Levis to anyone who will listen. Here's an interesting one too. We talked about this last week, but the New Orleans Saints, they're looking for a bridge quarterback. We don't know what's happening with Derek Carr. We don't know if he's going to have surgery, if he's not, if he's going to get traded. We don't know what's going on. But it's a possibility that Aiden O'Connell will follow, again, Derek Carr as a maybe, I don't want to say he's a starter, but I mean, as a backup. I don't know how good of a backup, you got because you got Hayner there and you got um who else they got there? I forgot his name. Spencer Rattler. Those guys, I don't think those guys are as good as Aiden O'Connell. So you want to have a guy that's won some games for you in the NFL. Aiden O'Connell can do that. Plus, he's really smart. He knows the offense. There's one little hiccup with the Saints. Kellen Moore, when he was the offensive coordinator with Dallas, and he was the offensive coordinator, with the Eagles, they had one of the deepest average target. So they threw deep quite a bit. That's not Aiden O'Connell's game. So that could be an issue where he would want somebody who has a little bit of a stronger arm to push the ball down the field more. But I mean, beggars can't be choosers. If your starting quarterback is kind of iffy if he wants to be there or not, and he's going to have surgery and miss the season, you kind of have to get what you get. You get what you get, and you don't get upset. Pretty much. Also, there's a dark horse out there. If Aaron Rodgers signs with Pittsburgh, which we think he's going to, that leaves a need in Minnesota for a backup. Again, J.J. McCarthy is more mobile than Aiden O'Connell, but he is pretty much a pocket passer. So it's a very similar scheme. You have a good quarterback coach in Kevin O'Connell, who's also the de facto offensive coordinator and head coach, but you have a guy that's really good at working with quarterbacks. You get a guy like that works with Aiden O'Connell. He can clean him up. He could call a game for Aiden O'Connell. So I think those are all good landing spots for Aiden O'Connell to land. Unfortunately, I mean, I don't want him to go anywhere. I do like Aiden O'Connell, but if we're going to draft a quarterback and we already have a starting quarterback, it's not fair to Aiden O'Connell to stick him as a third string quarterback. We'll probably lose him off the waiver wire anyway. Might as well trade him for something, right? Let's see here. Rick Rock. What I heard, his options are probably Pittsburgh and the Giants. Well, again, with the Giants, the issue with the Giants is they already have two quarterbacks. They have a first string and a backup already. So it's either going to be Jameis and Russ or Russ and Jameis. Again, you're going to run into the same issue with the Giants where he's going to be a third string quarterback. I don't know. You're gonna keep three quarterbacks on your active roster. No one does that. Your emergency quarterback is going to be ripe for the picking. I don't know if you would do that. Also, as far as Pittsburgh goes, if I was a betting man, I would put money on Aaron Rodgers signing with the Steelers. I would just put money on it. Now they're going to have Aaron Rodgers, Mason Rudolph, and then a third stringer. They're going to have Aiden. Again, it's the same situation. Now, as of right this second, it's not the situation. But the season doesn't start for another 5 months. I do see this happen. I mean, I think the more probable out of the two is Pittsburgh because they don't already have two starting caliber quarterbacks on their team. Hell, they don't even have one, I don't think. But if they get Aaron Rodgers, they'll have one. And they really like Mason Rudolph. So maybe Mason Rudolph and Aiden O'Connell battle it out for the backup role. I don't know. I don't know if you want to trade for a veteran quarterback to do that. You probably just better off drafting one. But yeah, it's a tough situation, man. And he's a fan favorite, and that's why I really wanted to talk about it. But Aiden O'Connell probably going to be on the move. If not at the draft, just after the draft. I believe it's going to happen sooner than later. There's some potential landing spots. I think the New England, Tennessee, the Saints, and the Vikings are potential landing spots for him. All right. Let's talk about some good news here. Is 2025 the best running back class ever? Todd McShay says yes. Interestingly enough. Excuse me. He says it all starts with Ashton Jeanty. I think we all know that. This running back class revolves around Ashton Jeanty. Whatever you guys might think about Ashton Jeanty, enough people are adamant, not just suggesting, not pointing the finger to, but they're adamant that Ashton Jeanty is head and shoulders better than anyone else in this running back class. Now, that normally wouldn't mean too much, but if you're talking about the best running back class ever, and you have a guy that's head and shoulders above the rest of that class, then you got something cooking there. Todd McShay compared this to like the 2017 draft where there was Leonard Fournette, McCaffrey, Kamara, like there's legitimate like Pro Bowl, All Pro type dudes that can come out of this thing. But Ashton Jeanty is definitely the leader in the pack. It's great that we may have a different opinion that this is Ashton Jeanty's to this or he's to that. There's too many people who get paid for their opinion on scouting that say Jeanty is head and shoulders above everybody else to ignore that fact. Is he going to be the best player in this draft as far as running backs go? Maybe, probably. Nothing's ever 100%, but if you have this many people saying it, then it's pretty much unanimous. Soto, are you shaving the beard for your draft? No. How about no? Not doing it. Now, Jeanty is seen as the only all-pro type talent. A lot of Pro Bowl guys, but the only really the all-pro, like this guy could be a perennial all-pro type player at the running back position. Okay, fine. There's other guys like Marion Hampton, Trayvon Henderson, and Quinshon Judkins from Ohio State. Dylan Sampson's getting a lot of love. Those are all projected first, second round picks, right? Those are like plus starters. But if you take a look at this, like Hampton's got first round buzz on him, right? Mid round guys. Like, hey, these are mid round guys. These are like third, maybe fourth round guys, right? Caleb Johnson, Cam Scatteraboo, RJ Harvey from UCF. There's a DJ Giddens. There's a Sampson again, third, fourth round. Like, these are really good backs that are going to get pushed back just because a lot of teams are going to think the same thing. And this is the reason why this is going to be a funky draft for running backs, because a lot of teams are like, why am I going to spend a pick on a running back now when there's 15, 20 running backs that we have rated right next to one another? I can get any one of those 15, 20 and be good with it. It's going to happen, but that's what's going to lead to with like day 3 steals. That's what's going to happen. These running backs are going to get pushed back. There's like, I talked about Virginia Tech, the Bashal Tootin. I talked about that guy, how he's a freaking stud. He had some fumbling issues, whatever, but you can clean that up. There's Ollie Gordon. There's Jordan James from Oregon. Damian Martinez from Miami. There's SMU kid was a Brashard Smith. He used to be a wide receiver. Jaden Blue, like, there's a lot of guys that are going to go in late in this draft that you're like, dude, how is this guy still available? That's the reason why Todd McShay is calling this the best running back class ever. Is it? We're going to have to wait a few years to figure that out. But as far as overall talent goes, I don't remember seeing a running back class this deep where you can get a guy that doesn't have a ton of question marks on him in like the 5th, 6th round even. Like, we're talking like really good backs here, like really good backs. And if you are going to get maybe a secondary back, let's just say, for example, we got a wild bug up our butt and we take Jeanty at 6. Let's just say we need another guy, right? Okay, well, let's say we get a bigger back, a short yardage back. We get him in like the 6th round. That guy can end up being better than Jeanty. Who knows? These guys are really good, man. And that's why Todd McShay is saying it. He has 15 to 20 running backs rated as starting caliber running backs, and then another 10 to 15 as quality backups. Now, quality backup in today's football is still getting 10, 12 touches a game because these running backs aren't getting 25, 30 touches a game anymore. Okay. They're getting their 20, 23, 24 touches. They're not getting 30 touches a game. So you're going to have multiple backs that can do multiple things. So the more multiple you are, the more apt you are to get on the field, especially now. You're not going to have these guys like these Darren Sproul types who can do a bunch, but you have LaDainian Tomlinson in front of you, you're not going to get the ball. It's not the way this works anymore, unfortunately. Or fortunately, depending on if you're a running back or not. But there's a lot of good guys out there, man. And this is one thing that we need to take a look at because, again, drafting in this first round, when I did the Spy Tick video, one of the big things that I really liked that he said was, what's the overall net gain? Is it better to take Jeanty in the first and one of the linemen that's going to be available in the second and pair them together? Is the combination of talent there going to make us better, or is the combination of talent going to be better going for the first round of offensive lineman and maybe getting a running back further down the line? Is that combination going to be stronger? Who knows? It all starts with the offensive line. Spytek loves drafting offensive and defensive linemen, especially early in the draft. Because like I said before, like how many 6 foot, 210, 215 pound guys do you see walking around that are athletic? A lot. You see them all over the place. How many 6'6", 315 pound guys do you see walking around who are athletic? Not very many. That's why those guys are a lot more rare. So that's why he drafts them earlier. Makes sense. All right, guys. Along those lines, I want to talk a little bit about this here. A surprise / obvious pick at 6 overall. Well, you're probably sitting back and you're like, dude, Soto, you're smoking crack or something. Because how can a pick be a surprise and be obvious at the same time? Well, it could be a surprise that he's available at 6, but it's an obvious choice if he's available, if you're paying attention. And the player that we're talking about is Will Campbell from LSU. There are some heavy rumblings around people who know that guys like Mykel Williams can go up higher than we think. That maybe Ashton Jeanty is going to be drafted higher than we think. And it's going to drop the offensive lineman to us at 6. And we can have our pick of offensive linemen. Here's the reason why I think it's probable. Is it? I mean, I would say probable if he's available. First off, shaky offensive line. Now, I like Alex Kappa. I like the move of Alex Kappa. I'm not putting a ton into Alex Kappa having a bad season last season because he wasn't healthy. That's like me putting a ton into Raheem Mostert having a bad season last year because he wasn't healthy. When the last time he was healthy, and he's healthy now, the last time he was healthy, he scored 21 touchdowns. The last time Kappa was healthy 2 years ago, the same season that Mostert was healthy, he was like a top 20 guard in the league. He had a rough year, man, because he was hurt. It happens. But we definitely have a need in the interior offensive line. Is Kappa the answer? Is Meredith the answer? Is Parham the answer? I don't know. Excuse me. But I do know that if we end up taking Will Campbell and we shove him inside as a guard, it's going to be pretty tough, man. It's going to be pretty tough to pick a guard at 6, but that's worst case scenario. If you put him at tackle and you move DJ Glaze in at guard, Will Campbell moves better laterally than DJ Glaze does. I think anyone who has any type of objectivity looking at players can see that Will Campbell moves better. He does have some limitations, his arm length, things like that, but that's why you have him on the inside if you have to. But as far as a player goes, man, he started every single game of his career with LSU, and he played against the top competition. He dominated. He's probably one of the, if not the best, one of the top 1 or 2 offensive linemen available in this draft. Also, you just traded for Geno Smith. You want to keep him protected, right? The last time when he was doing well, he was being able to be protected, and Seattle had a decent offensive line. Now, the last year before Pete Carroll left, the offensive line wasn't great, and it got even worse the following season, and so did Geno Smith's numbers. Is it a complete correlation? I don't know. Is it probable that it's connected? Sure. Also, you have to take even want any more justification about the offensive line upgrade. Just look what happened last year. Like, we couldn't protect Minshew or O'Connell, and it was just a freaking disaster. Now, I'm not saying they were great themselves, but we didn't do a good job of blocking run wise for them to get them a good running game. We didn't do a good job protecting them. It just was overall just bust. And I think that the way that Spytek and Carroll both um, value the guys in the offensive line, it may be a move to go. And I'm hearing a lot of these defensive linemen looking like they're going to get pushed up high in this draft. It's definitely possible. Also, you're looking at the free agency moves. Like I said, Alex Kappa's but I don't know if he's. I mean, look, statistically, he was the worst offensive lineman in the league last year. By the numbers. Is he the worst offensive lineman in the league? I don't think he is. I think he had a bad season. But when you're the worst, you can't ignore it. You going to bank on that? I always said we should have gotten at least one more veteran offensive lineman and drafted one or two in this draft to give yourself some competition at the position. Because, penciling in Alex Kappa right now, I don't know, doesn't inspire too much hope. Also, you have to take a look at like some of the draft strategies. We talked about this before. Just Spytek loves taking these offensive linemen who are blue chippers early in drafts. Now, can you be a blue chipper if you have a physical question mark like the arm length? It didn't seem to bother him at LSU, but I mean, these guys are a little bit different in the pros. Now, Will Campbell showed up to the Raiders facility for a top 30 visit. What does that mean? Well, it means that Will Campbell's on the radar. You're not going to burn these visits for nothing. You want to take a look at the guy, and that's one of the things. If you watch the video on John Spytek, he's more about drafting the person than drafting the player. Now, the player has to be good regardless. He has to be able to block, run, jump, be physical, all this stuff, right? Has to have it between the ears, be smart, has to love football, has to be a good person. And by all accounts, Will Campbell's a solid dude. So bringing him in and getting to know him, it tells you something. If he's available, I think we're going to pounce on him. There's never like a slam dunk prospect out there unless you're like, I don't know. Unless you're like a Joe Burrow when he came out. He was like, oh, this guy's going to be number one, right? Or Myles Garrett when he came out. They're like, dude, this guy's freaking amazing. This guy's going to be number one. There's always something out there that's going to be able to kind of give you a little cause for pause. And the cause for pause is, what is Will Campbell's true position in the pros? You don't want to use a number 6 overall pick and get a guard. Now, they are becoming more and more valuable as the pressure up the middle and these defensive tackles are getting a lot better at pass rushing. But still, the tackles are the most, valued positions out there. So is that what you want to do? I don't know. That's the only sticking point, I think, for me. But I really do think a trade back scenario is extremely likely for the Raiders if things were to fall this way. Yeah, I could put my name on that. Is it a 100% lock we're going to trade back? No, but if things fall the way they might, I think that Spytek really does like the middle part of this draft, and he feels if he can still get one of the better players and top players on his board in the first round, but trade back and get more of those middle round picks, I think he really would want to do that. I wouldn't be surprised if we also package together some of our 6th round picks together and move up into like the 5th or 4th rounds to get more picks in those rounds, because that's where it's going to be really the meat of this draft. See what you guys are talking about here. Tesla investor, this is the bare minimum I can do. What is the bare minimum you can do? Don't get it. Did it go over my head? Maybe. Oh, you're just watching the video. That's the bare minimum. Excellent. Why don't you just like, comment, and subscribe? So you're doing the bare minimum? Perfect. Love it. Tesla investor, you're doing the bare minimum. and I am A-okay with that. All right, guys. Well, we don't have much in the chat here, so I'm going to go ahead and cut us off. Appreciate you guys. Look, you guys are the greatest, man. Honestly, I think that we're creating a really nice community here in Raider Nation and Raiders versus the world. We go ahead and we come on here and we argue and we discuss things and we hash it out here, because once we leave here and we go out into the world, it's everybody against us, and that's just how we like it. Everyone, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to this video. It's a great way to support the channel. It's absolutely free to do. And like Tesla investor said, it's the absolute bare minimum you could do to support the channel, besides doing absolutely nothing and just watching the video, which, Tesla investor, I definitely do appreciate. All right, guys, that's my time for today. Till next time, everybody, peace.